As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Tom, it's just a tough subject. A recent study by Brown University showed that nearly 450 children are killed each year by their parents.
My daughters were picked up on a Friday by their father to spend the weekend, and that night he pumped carbon monoxide into their bedroom and slit their throats.
Justice have begun for two children killed by their mother in Hopkins County.
9-year-old Hayden King was laid to rest today. Hayden's 4-year-old sister Harper will have a celebration of life service tomorrow morning.
Here's a story that's breaking at 6 o'clock. It's all centered around the three people you see on your screen. The key pieces in a Middletown murder case.
On the left is James Hutchinson. Police say the 6-year-old was killed allegedly by his own mother.
East Los Angeles mother was charged today with killing her 3 young children. The youngest was less than 2 months old.
At 6 with breaking news.
Good evening to you, friends. Greg Merriweather along with Elizabeth Val. Our top story today, that precious little 2-year-old right now. 2 people are facing charges accused of murdering little Nevaeh Allen. Investigators found the 2-year-old dead in Mississippi after several days of searching.
One of those blamed in her death, the girl's mother, Lanaya Cardwell.
If you shave your cooch, but not your booty hole, is that the same as a mullet?
My tongue out her ass and left. I'm on TV! Oh shit! First cops, now this? Oh.
It's nice to see you, Unicorn, Shirley, Melanie. Good evening. Beautiful Brenda is up in the house, followed by Sorta Morta, Linda, Jackie, Southern Grammy, Wendy, Amanda, Susan, Coco, Kachoo. Hindsight, Mona, Peggy, it's nice to see you. Don, Bobby, Andrea, good evening. Peggy, it's nice to see you. Phil, Blue Eyes, it's nice to have you here, me and you. Rivers up in the house. I hope you're doing well, River. Happy Valentine's Day, love bug. Joanne, it's nice to see you. Michelle, Donna, hello. Truth, Delight, it's nice to see you. Phil, I think I said hi to you, just in case I didn't. Mama Bear, Judy Hosey, it's nice to see you. Who else do we got? Gypsy Girl, happy Valentine's Day. You can't see me, but I do, I say. It's nice to see you. Happy Valentine's Day, Caroline. Lisa C. Sharon, it's nice to see you. Casey. There's some private FB groups chatting, making claims that you need to see. Screenshots have been emailed to you. Thank you so much, love. I'll check them out. Astral, it's nice to see you. Prayer Warrior, hello. Miss Holly, it's nice to see you. Panda Bear's mom, Alicia, Hot Wheels, it's nice to see you, love. I hope everybody's doing amazing. We started off yesterday kind of comparing notes, right? Because the hate channels say we don't focus enough on Seth Rogers, the biological father of Sebastian, Dad, right? We don't pay attention to Dad. So we decided to do what we did for the mom and stepfather. We went back to the very beginning. Hey, Tony, good to see you. Good to see you. Happy Valentine's Day. Sending love to you and the family. So we're hearing, that we need to look at Seth. So that's what we did. We went back just like we did for the mom and stepfather. And what we found was a polar opposite of what we've been watching. What we've been watching is two people that have sat on their butts and condemned everybody for wanting to find their son because things don't look good for them, right? A child walks into their house. There's no evidence a child walked out, but a child is missing. And then you've got a set of parents being nasty. You got a set of parents being condescending, very self-absorbed, I guess would be a great statement. It's all about them. And so everybody's been telling us how horrible the dad is. Just what a POS this guy is, right? And we're just not looking on. We just want to pick on the mom and stepfather. I mean, we just love, remember the stepfather said that Sebastian liked to, pee and poop on himself, right? They just love to tell us how wrong we are and how nasty people we are and how we just love to pick on them. That couldn't be further from the truth. But, hey, Mama Marissa, who else do I see up in the house? Vicky, it's nice to see you. I saw Mama Marissa, Aletha, Sharon, it's nice to see you. Medic Biker, Cajun, oh, nice to see you, love. I hope you're doing well. And we'll get over to the super chats. Thank you. Thank you guys for the love and the support. I appreciate it. So we decide to look at the father. And what do we find? Exactly what we expected to find all along. A father that misses his son and wants to bring his son home. So far, out of all the early videos and interviews, not one time did he make it about himself or what he was going through. But interview after interview after interview for the mom and stepdad, all of a sudden just didn't seem, just didn't seem about Sebastian. It seemed about like it was always a discussion about something else. And that discussion always seemed to be about them and what they are going through. not about their medically needy son and stepson. No, nor did he no, he did not. So far, I haven't found any contradictions in Seth. And as a matter of fact, if there really were contradictions with Seth's statements, we would have comparative, videos like we do now, right? We've got 15 million people piecing together. Listen to this. They made this statement this time, this statement this time, this statement this time. Out of all the haters out there condemning Seth for being a horrible father, which, let's face it, everything that we've seen so far, if he's a horrible father, I think there needs to be, if that's their definition, we have to apply their definition, because they're saying he's a horrible father. But what we're seeing is a great father that's always there for his son. So if that's their definition of a horrible father, we need more horrible fathers in this world. Right? Because this is a father that moved across the country to be with his son, a father that has been the rooter on the sidelines. That's out of his own ex-wife's mouth. Sebastian's biggest rooter from the sidelines, his dad, out of her own mouth. He has been out there searching. Now, he's not military trained. Think about it. Like, even like down here, we had a man, an older man go missing. He was a part of the van life community. He lived at one of our camps, our RV parks out in Linger Lodge. He disappeared. A nonprofit came into town that called We Are the Essentials. And they're made up of what? Military and police. Well, imagine that. Why would they be so effective? Oh, because they had military training. Sounds like a great skill that could be used searching for a child. An even better skill, searching for your own child. Yet we had two military trained parents, if that's what you want to call them, sitting out. Where's the motto? No man left behind. Oh, except their children. Right? No man's left behind is only for everybody else but their child. So now, because they got our attention, it's like, oh, let's look at Seth. Let's look under the hood. So let's go ahead and look under the hood. So far, everything that we've seen under the hood is what we hope to see under the hood. It's what's lacking in the mom and stepfather. There's no book out there to tell you how to act or what to do if your child goes missing. Yet case after case, we see parents step up to the plate and push themselves to strengths they never even knew they had. And here for the mom and stepdad that are military trained, never mind the mom being MMA trained, fighting. So if anybody came into the house, it'd be like, woo, 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 right? Totally protected son. But he's not there. She couldn't protect him of this. She couldn't have protected him. She couldn't protect him being SA'd in California. Every bad thing that's ever happened to this child has happened under her watch. And he finally disappears into thin air. And they sit it out. Military trained. And then condemn and criticize and demand an apology from you for thinking they're a piece of shit. Now, I know military. I know military people. My family is military. I got a stepfather that was Marines. I got an uncle that was Navy. I have a cousin that's Army. This is a disgrace to our military. A disgrace. They are a disgrace to our military. What military person have you ever known their child is missing and they sit on their rear end for 10 solid months, long after law enforcement leaves their home? Still nothing. Still nothing. The only time you get action from them is when it's getting hot in the kitchen. It's getting hot in here, right? All right. Now, before we get started back on the interviews, there is something that is really, really hard to watch. So if this is about another autistic child, law enforcement not understanding or taking autism seriously, and this child lost his life. Well, not a child, he was an adult, but he's a child to his parents in the custody of law enforcement. So I'm going to only watch the first few minutes of it. I think the first few minutes of it is heartbreaking enough. You'll get the gist. You can feel the pain of the mom. This is her adult son, and something happened to him. And you can see the pain in her face. It seems like a lot of moms that have children that ran away from homes and or has lost their child seem to have a lot of emotion. A lot of emotion. Somehow, the mom and stepdad for Sebastian, nor the grandparents, or the entire side of that family, seem to be overly concerned that a medically needy child disappeared from their family almost a year ago. And those same a-holes want to judge me for judging them? I don't have missing children. I damn sure don't have any CPS reports ever in the history of my being. But our autistic people are getting hurt. Are getting hurt because people can't handle them.
Oh my God. You could see in his mugshot how distressed he was. I had nightmares for months. The fear in his eyes. I've never seen anyone so scared. They knew he was autistic. He was terrified. You could see it right then and there. If they had paid attention, they would have known something bad was about to happen and he needed medical help right then and there.
Remember what Sergeant said? You're going to go there for 10 hours next time you go in there. You want to do that? Then have a seat and chill out.
Guards are ill-equipped to handle this. They've got him in what we refer to as a turtle suit. That means that they think he's a danger to himself or to somebody else, most likely himself. So they put him in a turtle suit. That means he's fully naked underneath that. He's an autistic boy or man that is used to an environment. And when they don't have their stuff, they have meltdowns. And law enforcement is ill-equipped and ill-trained for the medical necessity of some of the people that wind up in their jails. He should have been taken to a facility, not a jail cell. But again, it comes down to proper training and proper resources for our law enforcement around the clock, around the country. This is a situation that happened in Ohio. This man here you see on your screen is no longer with us. The woman that you saw was his mother, and she had to witness all of this, and knowing that this is after her son died, and she had to watch this, and this is her last known memory of her son pleading. So we have got to get better on these type of diagnosis, and we have to start being more active in our communities and getting down there and speaking to our sheriff and making sure the right protocols are in place in your sheriff's department and in your local police department to handle autism and meltdowns in adult people that they may think are doing erratic things, but it's out of their control. And they need to be able to have the information at their to their hot little hands to know that he's autistic or somebody that they come in contact may be autistic and what those signs are. This is a great opportunity for this being a wake-up call to the people in our chat that you need to get involved and make sure your law enforcement has proper procedures and protocols in place for adult autistic persons. This is a preventable death here. If you guys would like to see more about this and watch this yourself, I don't feel comfortable playing it on my channel. It is a news broadcast. It's just that it was very hard for me to watch. But I do believe that everybody that can handle the truth, this type of truth, does watch this video. As you see, it's a 7-minute video. We only played a few seconds, or about 30 seconds or so of it. But I think everybody needs to watch it. I want to thank you, Lady Justice. Thank you so much. Welcome, Deanna, as the newest member of the Coffee Club. Welcome to this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum, along with Lady Justice's gifted membership. If you received your Bullhorn gifted membership, please don't forget to tell Lady Justice thank you and welcome to this crazy crew, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Thank you, Melanie. We appreciate your super sticker. And Kimberly, God bless you. We do appreciate it. Now let's get over to what we were discussing yesterday. Thank you, Hate Channels, for making us look under the hood when it comes to Seth, because I think it had unintended consequences. When we're not paying attention to one parent, people forget how that parent truly was acting at the time their child was missing. But now that we know everything that we know, and we forgot about all these interviews with Seth because we've been focusing on the mom and stepdad, it only solidifies when I have to compare both of these from Seth over to the mom and stepfather. You see a polar opposite. Now, mind you, the two videos that I am showing happened and were recorded on the same day, March 20th. This was when Seth was on the Nancy Grace show on March 20th. And this was also when Chris and Katie were on Smiley's Stories World giving an interview. Now, I want to remind you guys that last night we realized it appeared Chris reached out to Smiley and wanted to come on her show, but she was treated poorly by the Proudfoots. She was spoke to poorly. They were very rude, very condescending. Meanwhile, you have Seth on the Nancy Grace show pleading with people, speaking directly to his son, trying to educate people on his son's behaviors and personalities in a very loving and compassionate way. Meanwhile, on the interview on Smiley's World, you got two people not advocating for Sebastian. As a matter of fact, going out of their way to only discuss what they are going through. They have a medically needy child that's out there somewhere, and they think we give a rat's ass about their damn feelings. They are wholly wrong. We could give crap about two adult military well-bodied individuals or what they're feeling when their child disappears out of their home with no explanation. If you really want to play the fiddle, go play the fiddle. But I ain't listening to the tune. It ain't happening. So let's go. We're going to start off in Smiley's World. We're going to start off with Smiley's World first, because I think everybody needs to understand what these yahoos sound like. Because I think people forget how nasty and disgusting they treat people, especially people trying to help them find their son.
Y'all have been open and honest. People don't like my answers, so people want to come back with their own assumptions. And I'm so sorry that I can't open up and give you every little piece of evidence and every little detail that we know.
No, it's not every little piece. It's just something. They've given us nothing. And what they have given us, they've contradicted themselves or changed the story so many times. What's the truth?
Oh, I am terribly sorry. It sucks because when it does and it can come out.
Hey, Blackhawk.
My only question to everybody else is, when are you going to start issuing public apologies? That's not.
You guys all know that is a red flag all day from Sunday. It's a month in. You don't know where your child is. You're giving us a bunch of stuff, and you're not helping search, and you're running away from home, and you want an apology? These people have some nerve. They have some nerve. There is no way any of us would ever give these yahoos an apology, especially now that we know the majority of what we were thinking about this man is accurate, true, and correct. As a matter of fact, we don't want to give an apology. We want to put a big beware sign around the person's neck so the next woman and or child stays the heck away from them. Just saying. We want to save people around here, not put them in the pits of hell. An apology. The audacity, right? The audacity. It's thick. It's thick. So you guys are listening to how he's talking. We're going to let this roll for a few more minutes, and then we're going to go over to a real parent and see how a real parent speaks.
Not to you, that is to everybody that wants to come out and badmouth people that don't understand and don't have a clue what's going on.
Don't have a clue, guys. We're just dummies.
And I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, I can understand that. But let me ask you this. If somebody has over 100,000 people, why do you care what their past is or what they say if they can help you get Sebastian's name out?
So when you and I'll be honest with you, I've heard some of yours, and the toxicity that comes out of what you guys projected about me has only toxified everybody else that puts in a lead.
Smiley, you and your people, you toxified the situation. You're shame on you, Smiley. How dare you and your people? I mean, to have common sense. The toxic, like you have the power to make this man so toxic. As toxic as a waste dump. Shame on you, Smiley. I'm publicly shaming you. You owe that man an apology.
Shut the front door of this doorway.
All right. Sorry, I lose that professionalism every now and again. Just lose it. Man, Smiley and her people are the ones that are feeding the toxicity about his toxic being because it's so toxic. It's so toxic. It's a waste dump.
Or says, well, check
I'm going to hear that again.
And the toxicity that comes out of what you guys projected about me has only toxified everybody else that puts in a lead or says, well,
we're preventing people from putting in leads. I mean, it could be that unscrupulous PI that's scaring the crap out of your neighbors, but hey, who am I? I'm just an outsider from Florida. You know, I don't have my beat. I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. Shame on you guys for thinking.
Check out the stepfather. Do this. Do that. Call law enforcement. Check this out. Do this. You take a body, every time something gets reported, a body comes away from the investigation.
Don't report, y'all. Back in March 20th. Don't report. What did we just hear from Elevated Truth? Don't report. Every time you say something, they start calling these leads in. Don't report. Is that really somebody that's actively looking for a child, a missing child, a medically needy child? Don't call in? Oh, but the toxicity is what's preventing the call-ins. It's not the man saying, don't call in. Oh, that man is this boy's stepfather, by the way. Nothing to see over here.
To vet because they are required to do so.
And he doesn't want them looking into him. Did you guys hear that? Oh my God. You can't call them. They have to stop at what they're doing and look into this. And, they actually investigate. Don't call in. We don't want them to investigate. What are you people doing? No red flags to see over here, folks. Nothing to see.
And it sucks because the same answers are the same across the board.
It's the same answers across the board that they just keep miraculously forgetting what those answers are, because it's one answer for this content creator, another answer for this content creator, a variation of those two answers for this content creator. And of course, we got mainstream media and the story that they tell them.
Why they won't come out and tell in the public eye, hey, all three parents have been completely vetted. All three parents have been, questioned.
Wow. A month in, wants them to come and clear them all out. I guess we now know why they refuse to do that, don't we? Oh, is that the oh, that's the thing that those hate channels don't want us talking about. Shh. They don't want us talking about that. Oh, good gracious.
They won't come out and tell in the public eye, hey, all three parents have been completely vetted. All three parents have been, questioned.
How dare them?
Why they won't come out and say it? I understand to a point. I do. But it sucks at the same time.
I understand to a point. We're at 320. It hasn't even been a full 30 days, but they need to be cleared. But see, the thing is the reason why he wants to be cleared so bad is because he's been telling everybody since day 2 that they were cleared. That's why. And now that everybody at this time, remember, Eric Craddock came out and said nobody's cleared. Nobody. He wanted to shut that down real quick.
Because it's extremely hurtful that me, my wife, and Seth have to live in this life. Even when this is over. However it ends.
However it ends, y'all. Look at what we're going through. Screw the kid. Screw that kid. The kid that went missing from our house. Look at us. It's about us. We have to try to survive all of this. Me, myself, and I. Oh, and my wife. That is some sick, disgusting language coming out of a stepfather's mouth. Now that we're done listening to that, because I can only handle that in bite-sized pieces. Let's go over and see what a real parent does and how a real parent advocates for their missing child. Let's see how nasty and condescending and how all about it is for Seth. I mean, he must be, they're throwing Seth's name in on that one, right? They're saying, look, we have to deal with this. We have to survive this, me, my wife, and Seth. Let's see how Seth's handling all of this. I'm sure the last thing he's thinking of is himself. I mean, he should only be thinking of himself if he's this horrible father. But let's see how horrible this father is. Let's see if he turns the whole entire Nancy Grace show into a advertisement of how horrible his life is and how people are treating him horribly. Or maybe he just might be focusing on his son. I don't know. Let's find out.
Outdoors. Exactly. They have not been able to pick up a scent. They had a false hit but then that did not turn out to be anything, because when Sebastian went missing, it was kind of a warm day that first day, but after the next day of the search, it went extremely cold. It was rainy, which made it even more concerning, because here you have this 15-year-old who has autism with no shoes on and, maybe a sweatshirt and sweatpants, but it is now cold. So they were concerned about hypothermia as well. So a lot of factors kind of changed the search as well, but they have not picked up a scent at all.
Wow.
Officials have now been able to analyze home security video from that Hendersonville neighborhood and discover signs of what may have happened to Sebastian. 2 people near the family home, and as I recall, it was around 3:10 a.m. that Monday. 3:10 a.m. Who in the hay is walking around, 2 people, 2 flashlights at 3:10 a.m. in that neighborhood, and coincidentally, it is the same time during which Sebastian goes missing, which leads me to our guest, Douglas McGregor, geographic profiler specializing in violent crime and missing people. You can find him at.
So I just want you guys to notice that we're talking all about Sebastian, all about the details of the Sebastian Rogers case so far. And I can tell you we're 26 minutes in. If you guys would like to see more of Seth speaking, let's just go back here. I'll come back to the 26.22 mark. I want you guys to hear this. This is how the father's acting.
When I go in to
look at his face, that is a face of a father that is hurting.
Wake up my twins. If they're not in the bed, which is rare, they're usually still asleep. If they're not in the bed, I immediately glance in the bathroom, and if they're not there, that's totally out of character. They're always right there in their bedroom in the morning when I wake them up. And that would be totally out of the normal.
He wasn't in his room, and she can't find him. And I heard that once I got there. When I got off of work, I had a text message from the stepfather, Chris, and a missed phone call, and I called him, and he told me that Sebastian was missing, and he didn't know what had happened. So I had
okay, let me ask you a couple of quick questions, Seth. Number one.
I just want you guys to get a tone. We're going to go back to the 26, 22 mark, but I wanted you to hear the tone. Does that sound like a man that's making, when we heard the beginning part, when Katie first came on Smiley's World, it was automatically defensive, automatically kind of attacking Smiley. You could hear the over irritation of both her and Chris's voice. Here you've got a father that's basically pleading for his son, but we're going to listen to what this professional has to say.
People, you can find him at the Geo Profiler. Douglas, thank you so much for joining us. A lot's happening right here. No canine scent outside. No shoes. No break-in. No theft.
Wow.
The phone's still there. Weigh in.
What's left? Nancy just summed it all up. I'm going to go back. We got to hear that again. Let's listen to that again.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Listen, she summed it up.
A lot's happening right here. No canine scent outside. No shoes. No break-in. No theft. The phone's still there.
She got
Weigh in.
So if we look at each of these, the no shoes thing, there's a lot of autistic people who actually enjoy going barefoot. It connects them with the earth. They like that texture, that feel.
What he failed to realize is what his father has stated. That's not Sebastian.
There's a whole campaign, Barefooting for Autism. So I know that, and I did read the article.
Let me stop you right there, Douglas.
Yep.
Let me stop you right there. Seth Rogers,
Yes,
he's right. But does that have anything to do with Sebastian? Did Sebastian go barefoot outside? Was he part of Barefoot for Autism? Do you know?
No, he's got a pair of slippers that he wears, so he doesn't have to put on socks and shoes. He puts those on if he's going to go out to the trash or check the mail and doesn't want to put socks on.
Have you seen him since the ant bed incident go outside barefoot?
No, not at my house.
Okay. All right. Back to you, Douglas McGregor. Go ahead.
So continuing on with just how he left the premises, the other question I have is the wording that law enforcement is giving out with regard to what he was wearing, the clothing, that he was in a black sweater and black sweatpants. How do we know that? Did he go to bed in that clothing? How do we know he didn't wake up in the middle of the night and change clothing? I think the wording should be he may be in a black sweatshirt and sweatpants, or he may have those things on him if they are missing from his house, but we don't know that he left in those.
I think that's a very fair and valid point.
That's a really good point, Seth Rogers. What about it? Is that what he slept in? How do we know that's what he was wearing?
His mom said that he was wearing black leisure pants and a black T-shirt when he went to bed.
Guys, I want you to hear what Eric Craddock, Chief Deputy of Sumner County Sheriff's, has to say.
Really wanted to come to the community and ask for your help. We need you to search your properties every day, morning and night. If there's a shed or a crawl space or up under your mobile home or a tarp that's in your yard, check it every morning and check it every night. Look for any details that something has been disturbed. If there's a shirt that was there today that wasn't there yesterday, notify us. You can really help us by searching your own property twice a day. Like I said, we're operating under the assumption that Sebastian walked off, and we really need your help to ensure that he is brought home safely.
Did he? Did he walk off? If so, why are canines not picking up his scent? I can tell you this, Seth Rogers, and to you, Douglas McGregor, the best witness I ever put on the stand and all the years I tried cases, and I don't mean shopliftings, I mean felony homicides, violent crimes, was a dog. If the dog tells me the dog cannot pick up a scent, I believe the dog. So I'm having a hard time accepting what I'm hearing, that this young autistic boy just wandered out in the middle of the night without shoes on. Okay, back to you, Douglas McGregor. Tell me more of your analysis.
So looking at what the canines were able to pick up, those canines should be picking up multiple scents. And it's all based on Sebastian's routine activities. Does he go to a friend's house during the week? Does he go to the corner store? Does he occasionally walk to school?
It's frustrating to me when we have experts or alleged experts on that don't have the details of this case. These details are well known in this case. This is an unprepared person, in my opinion. I think Nancy Grace, if I do remember, does give him a hard time because he's so unprepared.
Even taking the bus, those canines should be picking up all those scents from that 7 days past, because canines regularly train from scenarios where someone's gone missing from 1 hour up to 7 days, and bloodhounds can pick up even longer than 7 days. So those canines should be picking up scents. They should be tracking those scents and then ruling them out as an activity from the past that isn't associated with him going missing on that Sunday evening.
Guys,
that could be possibly why they determined the false hit. I mean, there may be some relevance here, but he should have known whether Sebastian goes to the corner store. The answer is no. Does he go to a friend's house? The answer is no. He should have known. Those were very bad analogies, because those are no and no.
We were just showing you an aerial sketch of a landfill search. There's nothing good about that. Seth Rogers, why have you been told that authorities are searching a landfill?
They told me they just wanted to make sure that there was nothing there.
Aaron Cantrell joining me, News Channel 5 out of Nashville. Aaron, what can you tell me about this landfill search?
Yeah, Nancy. So they had got a tip that potentially from the garbage workers that maybe the trash may have been off a little bit. So just following up on that tip.
I just want to clarify this. We've learned that based upon Jennifer Coffindaffer's opinion and her experience being an FBI agent, it's very difficult to just get a warrant to go into a landfill, especially since they have to show probable cause. She actually alleges that she doesn't think the weight of the trash, unless it's significant, would have any relevance or bearing on being able to come up with the probable cause necessary to go into a landfill. So again, I'm just relaying the information. It's not my information. I just want to put into context what we've heard since this was recorded. Again, this whole interview is circling around Sebastian Rogers' case. The one thing that is really lacking in this interview is the point where Seth makes it all about him. That's what's lacking from this interview.
What do you mean by that? You can't just throw a grenade into my mind palace and expect me not to follow up. What do you mean something was off?
So basically the workers said they have the same garbage truck drivers that come to the house. And when they picked up the garbage can, it just felt more heavier than normal. So they just said that to the authorities. So just to follow up on that tip, they went out to the landfill to search because that's where the trash is taken. There in Sumner County, they take it out there to Kentucky. So just following up on that tip, that's what kind of led them out there because, we're used to our garbage, the same garbage truck workers coming out there. They know kind of how the trash usually feels every single day. So it felt a little off for them. So that's why they told that to the authorities.
A little off. I don't know. I guess we're going to have to use our best judgment, but we know that law enforcement has led us astray before because this is a smaller town. News travels fast, and they're trying to contain as much information as possible for the benefit of the Sebastian Rogers case.
So that's kind of what led them to the landfill to start looking around.
Seth Rogers, have you been asked
March
to take a polygraph?
20th.
No.
Would you be willing to take a polygraph? Seth Rogers, have you been asked to take a polygraph?
No.
Would you be willing to take a polygraph?
I volunteered.
I'm glad to hear that. You know why? I hold every parent to the gold standard. I don't know if you've ever heard of Mark Class. His daughter Polly was kidnapped from the home. She was horribly molested and murdered. When cops came, he, like you, was separated or divorced from his wife and lived separately. You know what he said when they came at the door? He's like, take my fingerprints, search my home, search my car, search my office, do whatever you want. Find my daughter. Find who took my daughter, because it's not me. I'll take.
That's what we want from parents. What we don't like to see from parents is them running away from home during searches. That doesn't give us a warm, fuzzy feeling at all. Because the grief of their child missing should be so overwhelming, what anybody else says or does is insignificant. And when what everybody says and does is more significant than your missing or deceased loved one, there's something seriously wrong. It's a red flag all day long.
Polly, I'll do whatever you want. And they did all of that. Of course, it wasn't him, it was somebody else. But that said, has the mother and the stepfather taken a polygraph?
We'll have to look that up, Caroline.
What?
I said, I know his mother has.
So she agreed to a polygraph. What about the stepfather?
I have no idea.
Guys, there is a reward for information in the search for this little autistic boy. Aaron Cantrell, I want you to take a listen to what Chief Deputy Eric Craddock has to say. Listen.
Last Monday morning at about 6:30, Sebastian was reported missing from his home. Since then, we've conducted an extensive and exhaustive search around the home, looking for any evidence, any trace of Sebastian. At this time, the decision's been made to scale back on the ground search operations. Let me be clear that this does not diminish our commitment to finding Sebastian. This is simply us transitioning from the ground search to the investigative side. We are still committed to finding Sebastian and bringing him home safe. We have no leads, no details to indicate that Sebastian is not alive.
From what I know, I can tell you that at this juncture, the family has totally cooperated with police. I'm curious about these flashlights. Back to you, Aaron Cantrell, joining us from News Channel 5. Aaron, I'm deducing, nobody's told me this, that the flashlights of apparently two people were seen in that neighborhood. Was it on Ring Cam?
Yeah, they believe it's a kind of a neighborhood kind of video. So either Ring or some version of that in the neighborhood, which I'm in a Facebook group called Finding Sebastian Rogers, and neighbors have posted in there. Like one neighbor said, if he would have walked near their house, you have those automatic lights that sometime come on, but that didn't come on. But in the video with the flashlights, you see two flashlights. That's all you can see because it's so dark. There's no street lights in the neighborhood, but you see two lights walking towards kind of a to the right of the video. But then you see, I think it may be into a wooded area, and then one of those both those lights disappear. But then you see one person stay away, but then some other person or thing comes back into the camera. So that's kind of odd too, because you see two flashlights leave, and then you see some sort of body of something of one person walk back through the camera.
I'm curious, how close were the flashlights to their home, to Sebastian's home?
Very close. So it's kind of right behind the home, kind of in like a common area of the neighborhood. So, like a subdivision, there may be kind of like some grassier area. Maybe people may walk their dogs, that sort of thing. So it's kind of a common area, but very close to Sebastian's home.
So these flashlights of, we think, two people were right behind Sebastian's home. Is that correct, Aaron?
Yes.
Okay. Are you also telling me that there are lights that come on automatically that are motion censored on Sebastian's home?
That's what one of the neighbors alluded to in a Facebook post early on in the investigation.
We also know that there was a motion sensor light that came on from the camera that recorded the flashlights in the common area. That was brought forward by Justin for All on Clutch Them Pearls. He analyzed the video, and the video does show a motion sensor light from that home coming on. Very interesting.
There was a Facebook group started, and, right now it's flooded with a lot of individuals. In the beginning, it was definitely more just family and neighbors. And one neighbor did mention that if he was to have walked by their home, their motion lights would have come on if he walked on the side of their home. So that was kind of odd too, because that's why the neighbor said that was suspicious to her, because her light normally comes on if anybody walks past the home.
And Aaron, those lights, the motion activated lights on Sebastian and the neighbor's home did not come on.
No. Mm-mm. Which is in the video when you see the flashlights, that's why all you can see are the two dots of the flashlight. You can't really see anything else.
Aaron, this Ring doorbell camera or something similar, did it ever show those outdoor light sensors coming on that night?
Not in that particular video. So that's the only video that we've been able to get our hands on. Authorities have said they've received several videos and things of that nature sent into them. But all they could confirm for us with that video was that was one of the pieces of evidence that they are looking at, and they are aware of that video.
So that confirms multiple angles, multiple videos. They have a good understanding of what did and did not happen in that community that evening. Now, a lot of people say, why is there no charges? Typically, you don't have charges until a private grand jury has been summoned and the DA goes over the case with that grand jury. Are they slow walking it, or do they just not have enough? Those are all great questions, and I don't know the answer to it. All we know is at this moment, there are very limited people that were in this child's life or that he had contact with. So the pool of people that would have had the motive, means, and opportunity to do this, either custodial interference or something different, is a very small group of people that would have to be under review. And I would think almost a year later, that is even smaller. They, at this point, have to be honing in on their persons of interest, if not already, whether we know about it or not, flagging them as suspects. We don't know. We know we don't hear about the suspect until almost the time or after the arrest. So could this be coming at some point? We don't know. But we do know that things aren't sounding right where we're sitting today, as opposed to where we were sitting on March 20th when these interviews were had.
But they could have, authorities could have other videos that they're looking at, but that's the one that we've been able to get our hands on, which is just very odd considering, again, Sebastian, they have said that he had that flashlight with him.
Douglas,
I almost want to ask the question, but I think, do we have a poll going already? We do not. Let me put a poll in chat real quick. Hold on. Well, I think it'll be easier for me to ask you guys this with a show of ones and twos. Why we never heard of this flashlight until long after Sebastian Rogers disappeared. It wasn't like one of those first things that we learned about in any interview. I can't remember exactly what interview the small flashlight came about. However, do you feel that that small flashlight was injected into the story to explain the flashlight video in the common area? If you believe that's why it was brought up, when it was brought up, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't believe it had any bearing on the lights video in the common area, put a 2 in the chat. If you just don't know or don't want to say 1 or 2, put a 3 in the chat. Okay. Thank you, B. I've always been curious about that myself. I'm not 1 or 2. I don't know. Because I did have an opportunity a long time ago to ask his father about the flashlights, and he did have, flashlights. He did have some collection of flashlights at his dad's house. If I recall, his dad told me that he did have, full-size flashlights as opposed to this keychain flashlight. But I don't know if I ever recall what he said about the keychain flashlight or if he knew about it. I want to say I believe he did, but I don't know if he would choose his flashlight over his switch, I think is the problem that I have with the whole story about the flashlight. And then also that was right before or right after the release of the flashlight video of Nick Barris. And that gives me another level of concern almost red flag-ish, if you will. So it makes me wonder. Hindsight said flashlight was brought into the story when L.E. asked if he took one with him. Wow. Interesting. All right, we're going to listen to a little bit of this, and then we're going to get back to the mom and stepdad bitching about themselves.
McGregor.
I don't know. I'd rather be hearing about avocation for Sebastian, or learning about his story, or learning about his likes and dislikes, and, hearing about him positively, not negatively. And we're going to be going, I almost want to wish I could play the rest of this after. Yeah, you know what? I am, because I don't want it to go out with this garbage that we're about to see. Not that Smiley did anything wrong. She just happens to have, garbage pail kids on her.
We have to live this life, not everybody else.
And of course, the one thing I come into is him screaming about himself once again, not about a child that hasn't been in his own bed for almost a month, but himself, because, oh my gosh, his poor fucking feelings. Excuse my language. Somebody give me custody.
In this life, even when this is over, however it ends, we have to live this life, not everybody else.
Quite frankly, Sebastian's going to find out what everybo's been saying about his parents.
Oh, I don't even want to hear that. That makes me want to fuck. Did I lose my... Oh.
Nice try, but you're a liar. Liar, liar, liar. Nice try, but you're a liar.
Warning, bullshit alert.
Sorry. Really? From the man and woman that has 5 CPS reports from their home? Okay.
However it ends, we have to live this life, not everybody else.
Quite frankly, Sebastian's going to find out what everybody's been saying about his parents, and I can't even imagine.
That man is not his parent.
How distraught he's going to be, but we have to find him.
Let's listen to how forceful she is about her husband, and listen. Well, we just have to find him.
Everybody's been saying about his parents, and I can't even imagine how distraught he's going to be, but we have to find him.
Oh, but we have to find him. So that sounded so convincing. Oh my God.
And it sucks.
Yeah, you have to find him, and that's the most important thing.
Yes.
The rest is going to fall into place later, but the most important thing is he has to be found, and he has to be found regardless. Period.
I want to just side note, he's not clapping, y'all.
He's not what?
People keep saying that he's clapping. He's not clapping. That's just background noise.
Oh, I don't hear any. Yeah, y'all.
That was earlier, and yes, he was. He was doing. You could hear it.
Some people have heard they're clapping it, and that's fine. I'm currently working.
Yeah, y'all.
Now, where understand people where
Nobody even asked this. Where he's nobody even asked. He just wanted it. He just feels the need to control and say, "I'm not going to tell you."
I work is really nobody's business.
Because he's running away.
And I would hope you would respect that, because I'm not this criminal. I'm not this monster that everybody wants to believe.
I'm not this criminal. I'm not this monster. He just hires criminals and monsters. He just hires or has a stepfather that doesn't mind talking about, hiring somebody to off his ex-wife, doing some stuff like harming people's vehicles and stuff like that, which happened to happen in this particular case with searchers out there searching for, hey, but nothing to see over here. Nothing to see over here, except just a bunch of dirt rockers.
But I do believe in privacy and respect, and it goes both ways.
Oh, you mean like that one time we heard on Cluminati where my hotel room was? Or was it when this Yahoo stepdad decided to follow me and decided to take a few laps around my car on camera? I mean, I'm trying. Is that the privacy and the respect that they demand from other people that they don't show anybody else? I'm just curious. I'm asking for every single searcher that searched for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers and continues to do so.
Yeah, I don't feel anybody should be going to anybody's job or anything like that. No, I don't feel anything like that.
Oh, I went there. I didn't go talk to his boss. I stayed on public property away from the job site on a side road and spoke to some employees of one of the general contractors down on the floor where everybody goes at 5:15 in the morning. That's how I knew that there was not a crane operator on the site. And if they saw somebody walking up a crane, they would call law enforcement because they would assume somebody has broken in. Nobody's up those cranes that time. Oh, no. Not that time. He probably knows who told me when I say it like that.
But as far as JLR, I mean, that's up to you who you speak with or anything like that. I do appreciate you holding up to your bargain, speaking to me. Some of the harder questions, it has nothing to do with you, but I'm just saying, as far as all of that has nothing to do with you.
How many times let's do this. We're about to close out the show. We're going to listen to this last little bit, and we're going to go back to the one. We're going to close out with Nancy Grace. I can't stand these people. How many times have you heard? And for those that say you have heard, I'm going to simply ask that you produce some receipts in my email. I'm not going to call you out here. I'm just going to ask you to produce them by email if you believe this and you have them in your hot little hands. But how many times have you heard Seth be asked a question and him tell us or tell whoever has been asking him that question that he cannot answer that question, that law enforcement told him not to answer that question? How many times have you heard? Now, Seth is the one that's in the spotlight every chance he gets to talk about his son, still to this day. As a matter of fact, going on a very, very public interview with the Lore Lodge on February 17th, which is Monday. How many times has Seth refused to answer a question? I wonder what them hate channels got to say about that. Because I think you are absolutely right. I have never heard Seth, he is not going to answer that question. Now, I have heard him answer questions in confidence, and those questions be aired publicly on the Nancy Grace Show, but he never refused to answer questions. He never refused the easy questions, and he's never refused the tough questions. He is Sebastian's superhero. He is a dad. And if these yahoos out there on the other side of the block want to say that he is a horrible man, then we need more horrible men like him being fathers in this country. I bet you we would have a lot less lost children if we had horrible fathers like Seth in their life.
It's just a matter of how I put it to every case that I care about, and there's no reason to be angry about it. It's just something, whether it's me, you, or whoever, and that happens to. Look, I had a grandson that went missing for a couple of hours here not very long ago, back last year, and I know how that feels. And,
I think everybody has had that experience. Even people without children that were just babysitting have had that experience, especially if they've been in a store. I know I've had that experience in more times than not, right? When I was a teenager doing, babysitting, children would play hide and go seek. even at that young age, it would make my heart jump a beat. I've had my grandchildren while I was at a store get in the middle. I did the same darn thing, get in the middle of the rack, and you're looking for the child, and then they pop out, and you're kind of angry, and all they're just trying to do is have a little fun. But there's a time and a place, and it's not in the store. We've all had that panic. And these two people that are with Smiley that won't show their face haven't seen their child in almost 30 days. And they're more concerned about themselves than they are about a 15-year-old medically needy child that wandered off in the woods, allegedly. Makes me sick to my stomach.
We can sit and say, this happened, this one, this happened, and this one don't know, and whatever. But, you know, I'm very passionate about these. I've been through a lot of tragedies that a lot of these people that are my subs don't know that I've been through, and a lot I have told them.
Yeah.
But, you know, I understand mine is not yours. I understand that, but I'm very passionate. I'm very passionate about Sebastian, and I do have to ask these questions, and they're questions you don't like. And whether you're in here,
no, it's not that I don't like them. I don't want anybody to start thinking that there's not questions I don't like. I've told y'all from the very beginning, I welcome all of your questions.
He welcomes all the questions while he condescends you and gives you, a guilt trip for having the audacity to want to find some information about his missing child, because, you know, that's what he calls him, his missing child. But we know he did not treat, well, he might have treated him like a child, or his child, because I heard he doesn't really treat Faith much better. I heard she's only 6 years old. And I've heard he's hit her in the face several times, in the lips, in the mouth. No grown man ever needs to be putting their hands on their daughter at 6 years old or below, especially popping them in the mouth. Rearing, maybe on the buttocks, but definitely not in the face. Just saying. Do your own research and fact-finding.
It grows curiouser and curiouser, to coin a phrase. Because if he had walked out of that house, those motion sensor lights would have come on. But from what we can deduce, they didn't.
Yeah, exactly. And I've seen the video. And my first question would be, let's just set aside the motion sensor lights for a moment. Who would he leave that house with if it wasn't one of the three parents? Who would it be? And those...
Nobody. The answer is nobody. There's nobody that would have been able to get him up out of that bed. There's nobody that would have been able to coax him out of that house. There is literally nobody. Mom, dad, stepdad. That's it. I don't even think Terry or Kathy would have been able to coax him out of bed at that time of morning. I could be wrong, but I think he'd be highly upset if he woke up with snaggletooth in his face. Just saying. So that's a great question. And the answer is nobody. Nobody else. Nobody else. Very small circle of people. I want to hear that again.
Lights for a moment. Who would he leave that house with if it wasn't one of the three parents? Who would it be? And those, that would be the next step in the investigation at that point, looking at that video.
And Seth, who can verify his last conversation other than the mom and the stepdad?
No one.
He was at school on Friday. You spoke to him Thursday night. He was at school on Friday, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So I know he was alive and well, say at 3:30 on Friday afternoon. Who saw him other than the parents from that afternoon, 3:30-ish, till we find out he's missing on Monday morning.
I don't know who else.
Seth. So I don't have
know.
any proof of life.
So let's talk about this. Let's go ahead and just let's fill this in. Let's figure it out, right? We know that on Saturday, because he had the Optimism shirt, there was a photo taken. So we know Saturday he was seen by maybe third parties or unknown third parties, because nobody knows who's really shopping in the store, especially a large wholesale store like that. You got business owners of all walks of life from God knows where, right? I don't know what that store, how far away the next, Costco's is. But it's a big, huge, like wholesale store where you buy things in bulk. And so they went to the little cafe in Costco's. And so I don't expect them to know every single person in a place that size. And they're eating. So we know unknown third parties saw him. He was there. There's a photo. So we know that there is corroborating evidence that he was at Costco's on Saturday. They probably know the exact time. I don't know the exact time. So that would be one. Now you're going on. Now I don't know who else saw them Saturday, because that's the only information we have for Saturday. But for Sunday, we have a BJ's trip. We have some family, which I don't really trust any family, especially that side of the family or their family. So I would trust nothing they have to say. Video camera from there is one thing. Credit card information, another thing. Would trust that, but not statements. We know that they went to Strikes and Spares, and we know that he went to Texas Roadhouse. We all have now seen the last third-party sighting other than the mom's statement. And that happened on Sunday, February 25th, 2024, at about 6:20 to 6:25 in the evening. That was the last third-party sighting of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers before he was reported missing at 6:33 a.m. on Monday, February 26, 2024. So I just wanted to make sure, because, back then, this was March 20th. They did not have this information. We are now in February 2025, literally days away from a horrible milestone. And we have a little bit more. And now we know the very specific time any third party saw Sebastian again, because we all got to witness it.
Between Friday afternoon and Monday morning?
I haven't been informed of anything. My only proof of life would be Katie, his mom.
Okay, who is cooperating with police? Guys, I want to give you the tip line again. 615-451-3838. Repeat. 615-451-3838. Listen to Sebastian's mom, Katie.
That we love you so much, and we want you to come home, and you're not in trouble.
Now we know why she always has to say something about not being in trouble. Now that we're almost a year into this, we understand that statement a lot clearer, which makes me sick to my stomach.
I guarantee you he is loved. And trust me, the open arms are waiting for him to come home. From every parent to every family members to probably everyone in the community. But there's no malice. We just want our boy home. Badly.
That is from WSMV 4. That also has the full.
They're pleading. I mean, let's just go back. Hold on. Let me go back here. They're pleading. They're not holding hands. They're not consoling each other. Nothing. And we're going to start doing an analysis, because I wasn't noticing for the longest time, like I noticed that she bit her tongue in this interview at some point in it. I caught that. We played a video on that months ago. But I never really paid attention to how many times Chris side-eyed her during this interview. That was caught on camera. Now, even the 20-minute footage that we have from Holly Thompson, that's still not the full interview. That was still cut up quite a bit. That wasn't the full, in my opinion, interview. So, because they cut back and forth between her and him, between them. So they had to do some cuts. So there's still footage out there of this interview that hasn't been seen by anybody other than Holly Thompson and her film crew. But they don't touch, they don't console.
Every parent to every family members to probably everyone in the community. But there's no malice. We just want our boy home. Bad.
Look how it's just the way he looks at her when he says that. There's something more here with this interview. I think we all feel it, and there's still something we're not getting in this particular interview, and I don't know. I'm going to have to just keep until something clicks. There's something else in this interview we're missing.
That is from WSMV 4. That also has the full discussion with Sebastian's mother, the full interview, WSMV 4. To you, Seth Rogers, what are your final thoughts?
I'm just looking for my son. I want him to come home. I need people to look at his picture. Keep your eyes open. Keep your head up. If you see him, please call 911. I need my son back.
That's much different than his stepfather saying, every time you talk about something, they call law enforcement, and they have to stop what they're doing. And, and he's saying, call. I don't care what it is. It could be the smallest clue. It could be the smallest thing. Call it in, call it in, call it in. The interview with Nancy Grace was all about Sebastian. Not one time did Seth talk about what he was going through or how he was feeling or turning the whole entire interview in about himself. He had every opportunity to interrupt. You don't get this kind of comparison without comparing them. These were two interviews on the same exact day. And what a difference between one side and the other. There's something seriously wrong here. And I think we've identified it. I think we've identified it long ago. How is this going to help find Sebastian? Because we know for a fact somebody knows where he is. And we just learned recently one of those people allegedly have invoked their right to remain silent after leaving the home in the middle of a search multiple times. Leaving food and a blanket outside of the house like he's a freaking animal. And maybe some people on this platform are okay with that behavior, but I am certainly not. That doesn't sound like any behavior of any loving parent I've ever seen, quite frankly. Yes, we are on the search for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Hey, happy Valentine's Day, Mr. Turkey Man. It's nice to see you, love. I hope you are feeling better. I'm glad you let us know the surgery went well. But I hope you're feeling so much better. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. It's good to see your name in the chat. But it's hard. It's hard not to see this behavior, right? People want us to ignore this behavior. And people want to make excuses for this behavior. There's no excuse. You have a father that is clearly distraught, has done everything he can to fight for his son and to keep the phones ringing and leads coming in, while the other have blatantly told the public, stop participating and quit calling in leads. What? Pretty much just like that. Much more toned down than that. But when you put it like that, it sounds pretty nasty. But that is exactly what he said. Every time somebody calls in a lead, they have to stop what they're doing. Yes, they have to follow up on leads. That's why people call the leads in. So we're going to keep going down this road of looking under the hood for Seth. But every time I keep looking at the interviews Seth provided and the concern he had at the very beginning of this case for his own son is the same as he has today. That is much different. He stopped his life for 6 solid months to be out in the woods searching for his son, handing out flyers, being the face for his son, going to businesses, making sure businesses knew his son was missing. And he was condemned still to this day for fighting for his son, called all kinds of horrible things. You guys have watched it. But I'm glad the hate channels told us to focus on Seth, because at least we know somebody's fighting for Sebastian, that somebody's been fighting for Sebastian since he went missing. Thank God for his horrible father. Again, we need more horrible fathers out there. Would probably have a lot more happier youngsters if there was horrible fathers like Seth. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate your time tonight while we went over some information. These were 2 interviews done on March 20th. Seth had an interview with Nancy Grace, while Chris and Katie had an interview with Smiley's Story World. As we watched and bounced through both of them simultaneously, we could hear a major difference in the behaviors and mannerisms of one parent versus the other. We could see which topic one parent would like to have first and foremost, and what the other parents wanted to be heard first and foremost. The father seemed to want to have conversations focused around his son, while the mom and stepfather was demanding people be shunned for having an opinion about this case and not highly regarding them. I just thought it was poor behavior. It was not about Sebastian. It was about how they're feeling and what they're going through, never giving a crap or 1 second thought to what Sebastian might be going through, how cold he may be, how hungry he may be. Is he getting enough fluids? Is he getting a bath? Is he hurt? They didn't care. Not one statement made showed any compassion for their son. A child that has lived in their home, under their roof, for years, vanishes one morning, and they don't think about his well-being? Not once? Thank you, Lady Justice. Deanna, welcome to this crazy family. Melanie, thank you so much. Lady Justice gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. Thank you so much. Kimberly and Aletha, thank you so much. God bless everyone that has come here. I hope maybe some of you, especially the haters out there, can answer some of the questions that I have. How can this be? You can email those to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. We are done with this specific topic. I'll be going through some more interviews to see if what you guys think. So far, we're going back to the beginning with Seth, and Seth looks like a pretty decent, loving, and caring father. But you know what? Trash shows themselves. And I'm sorry, the people Sebastian was living with the majority of his time just seem like trash to me. They act like trash. They talk like trash. And it doesn't seem like they care about anybody but themselves. Trash. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. Happy Valentine's Day. And for all those people that are bionic, like our turkey man, happy healing. I hope things are going well and can't wait to see you back at in the pulpit. I'll talk to you guys later. God bless and see you soon. 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We've brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims.